In the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, who raised his messenger, Elijah Muhammad, to prepare the way for the messenger of the covenant, Suleiman. Welcome. Is Suleiman Rahim, messenger of the covenant, breaker of the 7 seals. Before we proceed, brothers and sisters, we need to be reminded of the Holocaust. We shouldn't have to be reminded, but we have to be, because there's a concerted effort to get you, if you have any knowledge of it all, to forget about it, to forgive it. If you do have knowledge, if you don't have any knowledge, then make sure you never get any. Because now the hell is closing in around them. They see the flames. Now, they want to cover up their mess. They want to cover up their mess. The evil. God of consequences on the scene. They're doing everything they can to try to cover up. They can't do it. You can't dispel consequence. You can't destroy consequence. There's nothing you can do with consequence but live with it, good or bad. And they have a lot of consequence, because if they had not done evil, there will be no evil consequence. There will be not the flames of hell closing on them. 1619 or 2019, 40 years, the Abrahamic covenant, they've been lying to you about. They don't want you to know anything about it. It's both so-called Old Testament and New Testament. 40 years, enslaved and persecuted, afflicted. They want to tell you that you went through slavery. No. Some don't even want to tell you you went through slavery. Don't even want to tell you that. Because you got people writing books saying, and especially these demons, masters, black-faced devils, right? Saying we came over here as immigrants and things. Everything to cover it up. So they want you to think that anything happened to you was because of you, not because of them. Came over as immigrants and you were so evil, they had to put you in chains, stuff like that. 1619 or 2019, read it. Then their judgment will come, and be first of 10 judgments. First of 10 plagues. The first will be a plague that will kill the firstborn, that means the elderly, and pass over us, which is exactly what it did. But they was lying to you, telling you, oh, no, you've been dropping like flies. All you got to do is check with the World Health Organization, WHO, and they put out a paper, right? That's the World Health Organization. They put out a paper recently, about a month or two ago, a couple of months ago, saying that they did not understand why this plague was not affecting Black Africa, Haiti, or any place else where blacks control or live. See? So they don't talk about it anymore, because it wasn't affecting you. What was affecting false Israel, the ones who pretending to be you, stolen identity, they caught the hardest. They don't want you to know about those things, brothers and sisters. See? CRT. See, whispering in your mind, ideas, firm resolutions. Oh, it's not theory. That's how it's slipping in on you, it's a whisper. See? Critical race theory, it's a whisper. See? Because what's the whisper? The theory part. See, because if you accept that as theory, that means it may happen, it may not happen. So it's soft as a blow. See, because they don't want you to know all the horror they did. Look at these pictures here. These are just some small tokens of what they did. There's no way it encompasses all of what they did. It's just small. This is a lightweight stuff here. They look like slavery to you. The Abrahamic covenant said they were enslaved and tormented and afflicted and abused. So in other words, depending on your translation. So if all that's included in slavery, why'd you have to add that on and? Because it's not. Slavery is economic part of what they went through. Yeah, they had slavery all over the world, but it was economic slavery. Maximum benefit, maximum profit, minimum overhead. That's what slavery is. And people going through slavery right now. You working at McDonald's, you're a slave. Because they're making profit. Profit by definition is exploitation. Because they don't pay you what they got from your efforts. They give you some of it. and they keep the rest. But with your efforts that got it for them, that's exploitation. But they tell you capitalism is the greatest thing ever happened since fried chicken. See? No. Capitalism lift the world out of poverty. No. Capitalism impoverished the world. Because when they came out of Europe 500 years ago, read chapter 20, Gog and Magog, they went forth killing, stealing, and destroy. The devils go forth to kill, steal, and destroy. Exactly what they did. They stole this country, they killed off its inhabitants, they brought us up and destroyed us. But they got a different take on it. See, because they got their minds. See, their minds. They got them. They want to placate their minds. So they don't want to see themselves as who they are. They want to look in the mirror. Just get rid of all those mirrors. So they had to come up with some kind of rationale to say they're good people. So in other words, they weren't enslaving good people. They were enslaving God's cursed people. Ham, who was cursed by Noah, cursed black, and cursed to be doomed to be slaves for the rest of their lives, all their descendants. So that became us. See? So enslaving us wasn't a big thing. And then this became the promised land. So getting rid of the heathen, right? That wasn't genocide. That was just getting rid of roaches. You see what I mean? So that's what they want to hear. If you listen to Tucker Carlson and Rick and you listen to Trump, all these people, that's why they're so popular, because that's what they're saying. Oh man, it wasn't that bad. They had slavery everywhere, right? Tucker Carlson the other night. Christianity is the greatest force for human rights ever since from the beginning of mankind. Really? Christianity enslaved the world. They persecuted the world. They came out under the banner of Christianity 500 years ago, 600 years ago. Somebody freed us. They didn't free us. Who put us in the slave? Who put us in chains? Anyway, I want to go into our main topic, brothers and sisters, because I kind of got it right here. There's some serious technical difficulties, right? I was trying to do online, go act live, and somehow they got into my system and shut it all down. So I'm going to have to review that process. So I'm going to get right into the topic, brothers and sisters. And following, well, first I want to, in the YouTube, not the live version, because I can't do it in the live version because the way they corrupted my system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include this segment in the uploaded version, right? So if you want to see all of it, look at the uploaded version, but live version you won't see it, because I want to include a little segment concerning our subject, right? It's very, you need to hear it.
Rick Wallace. Well, the last thing the world needs is more war, but that is what the Israelis are planning to give us. Israeli newspapers reported today that IDF combat pilots plan to rehearse a military attack on Iran. Israel's Chariots of Fire military drill began on May 9 and will include a simulated wide-scale bombing attack on Iran. American military forces will participate in the war drill that will be held in Cyprus beginning on May 29. Dr. Burkhardt and I have more details about the planned Israeli war against Iran. So, Doc, just when the world is reeling from the Russia-Ukraine war, Israel and the United States are planning another war.
You got to move to the next one. You've got to have one in the pocket ready to go, I guess. And so,
will there be an outcry against Israel attacking Iran like the world has rallied against Russia?
No, because we painted Iran as evil. Yeah, it's really bad. The Russians are bad, but Iran, they're really super bad, and they probably deserve whatever we throw at them. We'll probably just let that happen.
I don't read any news articles that the Iranian military is conducting drills to bomb Israel.
No, and if they were, they would be front and center, wouldn't they?
You better believe it. And I don't see any news articles that Russia or China are participating in the Iranian drills to bomb Israel.
Right.
But what we have here are Jerusalem newspapers and television networks reporting that the United States and Israel are conducting a joint military drill starting on May 29 to bomb the nation of Iran. We'll start with the Jerusalem Post. Israel to simulate striking Iran in massive IDF drill.
So the Israeli military will simulate striking targets far from Israel's borders with a large number of planes while simultaneously acquiring new targets on various fronts in real time during its largest military drill in history. Now, according to the IDF, the drill is unique and unprecedented in scope and will enable the Army to maintain a high level of readiness in an ever-changing region. It aims to improve the military's capabilities in an intense, multi-front and prolonged war on all its borders. During the drill, the Air Force will also drill on striking targets far from Israel's borders, while troops continue to contend with a multi-front war on its border. Now, notice several times in here, Rick, that they talk about the distance from Israel's borders.
Yes.
That they're not talking about just a defense of the borders of Israel itself, but being able to strike targets far away from its borders.
That's right. But it also, they mentioned a multi-front war on its borders. So Israel is planning to attack Iran, but they're anticipating
A multi-front war.
a war on its borders in response to their attack on Iran. I also read today, I didn't bring the articles with me, but the Israeli papers today are full of military stories about preparation for war. And one article said that the IDF is bracing for very intense warfare inside Israel from the Palestinians. Now, it doesn't mention the Iranian war, but those articles are around these other stories. So you just have to assume if they're preparing for intense warfare with the Palestinians, something's going to cause the Palestinians to rise up. And most likely, it's going to be in response to Israel and the United States bombing Iran. It said that the IDF will bring in attack helicopters into Palestine,
Really?
into the West Bank. So they're going to use attack helicopters against the Palestinian people. Very serious warfare that is being planned right now. So they have, again, the drills are for a multi-front war on its borders. That would include Hamas attacking from Gaza, perhaps Syria attacking from the north, maybe Hezbollah from Lebanon.
Right. And then, of course, you'd have Palestinian insurgents, too, that would be attacking internally from the West Bank and from Gaza as well. Plus, operating a long-distance war, too. And they wouldn't be doing that alone. This next article is from the Times of Israel. U.S. refuelers to take part in large-scale Israeli drill for strike on Iran. So, now we are entering into partnership in any possible strike on Iran. The U.S. will partake in Israel's large-scale drill simulating a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities as part of the broader Chariots of Fire exercise later this month. Channel 13 reported Tuesday. According to the unsourced report, the U.S. Air Force will serve as a complementary force, with refueling planes drilling with Israeli fighter jets as they simulate entering Iranian territory and carrying out repeated strikes. The aerial collaboration is seen as a potential message to Iran amid long stalls in the negotiations in Vienna over a return to the 2015 nuclear deal. A possibility Israel has repeatedly voiced its objection to, warning it would lead to a more violent, more volatile Middle East. Channel 13 defense reporter Oral Heller noted that by including the U.S. in the drill, the two countries are sending a message to Iran that the U.S. could support an Israeli offensive even if its fighter jets do not actively participate. The report said U.S. CENTCOM Commander General Michael Eric Kurilla landed in Israel on Tuesday ahead of the planned drill and will be in charge of coordinating between the IDF and the U.S. military. And this drill, which involves nearly all units of the IDF, has been focusing on training for fighting on Israel's northern borders including against the Iran-backed Hezbollah terror group in Lebanon. Now, in addition to having to find ways to strike Iranian facilities that are buried deep underground, acquiring specialized munitions and tactics, the IAF will have to deal with increasingly sophisticated Iranian air defenses in order to conduct such a strike. The Air Force will also have to prepare for an expected retaliation against Israel by Iran and its allies throughout the region. The upcoming drill is also expected to focus on preparing for and responding to such retaliation. Well, Rick, as you often like to do, you like to flip the script. So what if Iran was conducting a major drill, major operation involving all of its Air Force, all of its technology, and the Russians or the Chinese, let's say, were providing material support, such as refueling? Would we say that Russia and China are partners in any attack that Iran might have against Israel?
Of course we would. Of course we would.
But when the shoe's on the other foot, it's okay.
But the U.S. is participating in this war and encouraging it, and the U.S. and Israel are joined at the hips. So let's use their logic. Let's use Iran's logic. I mean, it's not Israel's logic. They are planning to attack Iran because they say Iran is building weapons that could destroy Israel.
Are they still a week away? Remember Netanyahu from years ago, a week away?
According to these reports, it's imminent. That's why they're doing this drill. So the Israelis are saying they're doing these drills because the Iranians are building weapons and planning to attack Israel someday with these weapons.
Right.
And they can't allow these weapons of mass destruction to be in possession of Iran and so close to Israel,
right?
In terms of distance, the proximity of Iran to Israel, that those missiles could reach Israel in a matter of minutes. Therefore, Israel, to defend itself, is going to take a preemptive strike to hit Iran, destroy the weapons, so that those weapons will never be used against the Israeli people. Is that the logic?
That is their logic. I know where you're going to go with this now.
That's exactly what the Russians said.
Yes.
That NATO is putting weapons in Ukraine.
Right. And they need to make a preemptive move to prevent that from happening.
Yes. So if the Israelis, with the support of the United States, are permitted to bomb Iran using that logic, why isn't Russia permitted to invade Ukraine using the same logic? What's the difference?
Well, the difference is because of our support for Israel. That's the difference right there. And because we want to destroy Russia. That's the difference as well.
So I'm against all these wars.
Yes.
I don't want Russia attacking Ukraine, and I don't want Ukraine in NATO, and I don't want Israel attacking Iran, and I don't want Iran attacking Israel. So I'm against all of the wars.
Using their logic once again, would Iran be justified in preemptively destroying any Israeli nuclear facilities?
Well, if I were an Iranian military commander and I'm reading the Times of Israel and Jerusalem Post going, hey, they're planning to bomb us. We might want to bomb them first.
Right.
That's where this, when you play this game, there's going to be a war. Because somebody's going to hit first. Somebody's going to strike first. When you are practicing to attack somebody, that person who is the target is going to hit you first.
Yes.
And then you use that as the justification to conquer them.
Yes.
But you provoked it. Just like NATO provoked Russia to attack Ukraine. And now everybody's crying, oh, look what Russia did. No, NATO provoked it. It was deliberate. They wanted the war. And they want this war here. This is all part of the destruction of the current world order in order to usher in the next new world order. Somebody's got to start World War III. And daggone it, they're having trouble getting this thing going.
It's frustrating.
Somebody bomb somebody and get the war started. That's the mentality of the globalists.
Well, it may be happening even quicker than we think. This is from Times of Israel today. In the first, Russian military said to fire S-300 missiles at Israeli jets over Syria. Okay?
Well, here we go again. So Israel bombs Syria like, it's like they're going out to a convenience store. Hey, let's just fly over to Syria and bomb them today. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bombing campaigns over Syria in the last 5 years.
But Russia has been restrained in response to that. There are Russian troops in Syria. So Russian forces...
And American troops.
Yes. Russian forces opened fire on Israeli jets with advanced S-300 anti-aircraft missiles at the end of an alleged IAF attack on targets in northwestern Syria last week, Channel 13 News reported Monday, in what could signal a significant shift in Moscow's attitude toward Israel. According to the unsourced report, the unprecedented incident occurred on Friday night when the Israeli Air Force bombed several targets near the city of Masyaf in northwestern Syria. At least 5 people were killed and 7 were hurt in the airstrike, the Syrian state news agency said. Other media in the country said 6 were killed, all crew members of a Panzer air defense system who attempted to take down the Israeli missiles. Now, the report also said the Syrian military fired off dozens of anti-aircraft missiles, which have been largely ineffective at halting the hundreds of Israeli strikes on Syria in recent years. However, this time, the S-300 batteries also opened fire as the jets were departing the area. The report noted that Syria's S-300 batteries are operated by the Russian military and cannot be fired without their approval. The report said the S-300 radar did not manage to lock onto the Israeli jets and thus did not present a serious threat to the IAF fighter jets.
But
they didn't want to lock on.
They didn't want to. You're absolutely right, Doc. The Russians fired the missiles as a warning shot to Israel. Don't do this again. The next time, we're going to take down your planes.
Now, if confirmed, this would be the first time, the first use of the S-300s against the IF over Syria, and would be a worrying development for Israel, which has carried out hundreds of airstrikes inside Syria in the course of the country's civil war, and since targeting what it says are arms shipments bound for Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah terror group and other Iranian-linked sites. And so they've had pretty much free reign to just bomb whatever they want to in Syria for my recent memory.
What happens, Doc, when the Russians shoot down Israeli warplanes over Syria?
Oh, well, then we're in World War III for sure. Yeah, we are, because there would be such an outcry here in the U.S. about now the Russians have taken the war to the Middle East.
Wait a minute. Israel is bombing another country.
Oh, let's not talk about that aspect of it, Rick. That's a minor detail.
How dare you shoot down our bombers when we're bombing your country? How dare you shoot us down? We'll start a war over this.
Just don't quibble over details, Rick. The fact of the matter is, if Russia shoots down an Israeli jet, we know basically all hell will break loose in the Middle East. And here politically as well, because both Democrats and Republicans are joined at the hip on support for Israel.
Oh, do you know the level of screaming that will come from the Christian Zionists? They'll hyperventilate.
Yes, and they'll be calling bomb.
Yeah.
Bomb. Good Christian people, good Christian leaders. Let's bomb the tar out of somebody.
Destroy. Christian churches will be demanding that Russia be destroyed.
Yes.
You can count on it.
And they'll talk about Ezekiel 38 and 39 and all this other stuff going on with it. That stuff that's already been fulfilled in history. But they'll say, now Russia's done it. They're fulfilling Bible prophecy. We have a foreign policy dictated by prophecy that's already been fulfilled.
By the way, when we're talking about Russia, I read today, and I don't have the story here in front of me, that I just saw a few minutes ago, Bloomberg reporting today that the Biden administration is going to block Russia from paying its debt. Right? They're going to prevent them from paying their debt. They're upset. They're frustrated that so far, with all the sanctions, Russia has managed to pay installment payments, on their loans. So the U.S. Treasury Department is going to block Russia from making the next payment to force them into default. Well, how can somebody be in default if the banker, if a thug prevented the mortgagee from making a mortgage payment?
And he doesn't.
How can you be in default? But see, again, they're determined to start World War III. Folks, if you're not taking this seriously, I don't know what to say to you. World War III is on.
Yes.
It is on. And the warmongers in America and Israel and Europe, they desperately want this war. They're so frustrated that they can't get it started. And they just go from one thing to the next looking for a way to provoke Russia into bombing somebody so that they can declare World War III. It is a dangerous time to be alive. Please do not dismiss it and think, oh, it's not going to happen. No, we're right on the edge of it right now. And we just go from one provocation to the next. So we've got the U.S. going to prevent Russia from legally paying its bills.
Right.
It's not defaulting. They're not wanting to default. They want to pay their bills.
They're locking the banks.
Yes.
They can't come in and make the payment.
Right. So we've got the U.S. doing that, and then we have the U.S. and Israel practicing to bomb Iran. Another way to get a war started. One way or the other, the warmongers are going to get the world into World War III.
The war itch is on.
It is. Because they have planned for a new world order to replace the existing new world order.
So World War III is probably not going to be the big war. It's World War IV we really have to worry about now, isn't it? Because World War III is happening now, when we realize we're not really going to look back 25, 30 years from now and say, remember World War III?
But I think it's going to go far hotter than what we're experiencing right now. You know, Dr. Talal in Jordan, he doesn't believe that this is going to go nuclear. He believes it's going to be World War III is going to be fought in various non-nuclear methods, okay? I'm not convinced of that. You know, when people start throwing punches, somebody will pull a gun.
Yes. Okay. Somebody's going to get shot.
Yeah. Somebody's going to get shot. You get a fight going in a bar, and soon enough, somebody's going to pull a knife or a gun, and somebody's going to die. And that's what's going to happen with this confrontation that the West is doing with Russia. Sooner or later, somebody's going to die. And there are going to be a lot of people. And I dread the thought of what life is like after World War III. Folks, if it happens and you survive it, you are going to cry out, why didn't we stop it? It could have been stopped. It was so visible. It was so obvious we were going into a world war.
Why didn't reasonable minds prevail? Well, reasonable minds are seeking peace right now. We're saying, why don't we consider peace? But they don't want peace.
No.
They need this war. They need World War III to make the new world order happen.
That's right. Just one brief story about Israel. Last week we told you about how the IDF shot in the face a Christian woman who was a reporter for Al Jazeera. They shot her in the face. She was doing her job reporting on what the IDF...
It's very... You need to hear it. But anyway, first, brothers and sisters, this is the resurrected nation of Islam. The nation of Islam has been here forever. See, it always will be here, always has been here, always will be here. It wasn't something Elijah Muhammad invented. See, it's been here all the time. It just fell. It died. See, Lazarus died. See, as a matter of fact, Muhammad came here, right, to set up Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad raised up the son of Levite, right, the widow's son, the Levites, and what their job was is to prepare the way for the message of the covenant that would come and revive Lazarus. See, that gets back into Melchizedek, chapter 7, Hebrews. Not going into that kind of detail here, brothers and sisters. I want to get into, and that's why I really wanted to play that video up front, because it really encapsulates all that I'm talking about. But anyway, we can do without it for the live version. So let me go here. There you go. Okay, brothers and sisters. The topic is the war with Iran. Now, no one's talking about that. I've been talking about it for 30 years, and now everything is coming into focus. Everything I've been telling you is now coming into focus. You can't deny it. And I don't hide my archives. They're out there. I got hundreds of videos, hundreds of presentations out there on YouTube, some on Facebook. And maybe you can find some prior to Facebook. I had over 30 years before Facebook and YouTube. So I had websites. So I haven't went to see, maybe that stuff's still out there also. But I've been explaining to you that war is coming. See, it says Suleiman, he'll be made a watchman to let people know war is coming. I've been explaining to you. And this thing with Ukraine and Russia, that's not it. That comes under the category of wars and rumors of wars. See? But right now, and I'm going to give you a little heads up, that video that was, right? I might try to explain that, try to play at the end of this, but like I had technical difficulties, and it may not play. But it will be in the uploaded version. I'll copy it in, blend it in. Anyway, that thing in Ukraine and Russia, that's wars and rumors of war. That's not World War III. World War III is on the way this year, but that's not it. And so you see people like Farrakhan, they jumped on it because he's been wrong by everything. But he talks so general that you can't say, well, watch the weather. So every time there's a smoke, a hurricane, something, see, he said, watch the weather. Well, okay, I'm going to tell you, watch the weather. It's stupid. See, and he said something, talking about, well, after he got finished talking, there was a lightning strike in New York that never happened. He wasn't in New York, first of all. And if he was the cause of it, boy, wouldn't he have made news, world news, if he had said, in 3 seconds there's going to be a lightning bolt in New York, right? That's going to rock the world. He didn't do that, did he? Go ahead and have a connection with him. Because he's a big liar, he's a fake, he's a showman, right? I don't know, I think you might take the man part out of that, right? But he's a liar. He's a fake, he's a son of perdition. But we're going to get to that. But this war, see, right now, they're not playing, see, that's the thing. They're not showing the papers here. You have to go to Jerusalem News and those come to, they're saying Iran is right now with American help, American generals on the ground in false Israel, right now, planning, they're doing drills right now to attack Iran. It's public over there. They hide over here because, see, they don't want you to see the comparison between what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on false Israel, because false Israel is going to attack Iran because they say Iran might become too powerful. That's the same reason why Russia went after Ukraine. But see, that's Russia. What they did was wrong. But it is so-called false Israel doing exactly the same thing. It's okay. So that's why you don't hear about it over here in the news. But you can hear about it in a few more days because it says it's imminent. They're saying it's imminent, right? That means they're going to do it very soon. And I've been saying, and you go check my presentation the last month, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I gave you a timeline. I said exactly when would happen. I said it'll be probably 6 months into this year. Right, May, June, July. During that period of time, that war will break out in the Middle East. When that war breaks out in the Middle East, what will happen is that will trigger Armageddon. Armageddon is a European war. It's not a world war. You might call it World War III, but World War II wasn't really a world war. It was a war between the Europeans. And, Japan got involved, but primarily, that was conspiracy right there to get them involved, so America get into the war because American people didn't want to get into the war, and they had to have a few skin in the war. And Japan was allied with Germany, and they provoked Japan into a war. The bottom line is they embargoed Japan. If anybody embargoed America, they get bombed to smithereens, right? So they embargoed. Japan was an island nation, just like Britain, and Japan was a powerful country. They had navy and everything. They knew what was going to result with that, because Japan is an island country, and then once they embargoed them, that means they would starve to death, because they didn't have any resource in the island. It's like the British. That's one of the reasons why the British went all over the world taking from everybody else. They had nothing themselves. They had nothing themselves. But I was taking from everybody else. That don't give them a reason. That's don't justify it. Yeah, but that was the motivation. And Japan, same thing. Japan was doing pretty much the same thing British was doing. They was going to take from everybody else because they had to feed that industrial machine that America forced on them. See, Admiral Perry forced it on them. They didn't want, you read it, what's that movie, The Last Samurai? Some truth in that. They didn't want to be bothered with all this technology and stuff. And Admiral Perry went over and told them, you got to open up, or we'll blow you out of existence. So they were blowing up, and then they're very industrious people over there, right? Because they didn't know they got the world, their power. And then America goes and says, we're going to embargo you. What you supposed to do? It's like you go up to Muhammad, he says, man, I'm going to kick your ass, right? I'm going to get ready to punch you. What you think going to happen? See? And that's what happened. So they knew what was going to happen, because they needed to get into that war to save Magog, Britain. See, America's Gog and Britain's, that's the truth, but they don't want to tell you that way. Anyway, so that's why you're not hearing about it over here. But if you, this video I'm gonna play for you, I was like, I may not play it after this, I'm gonna try. That's what they're talking about. They say keep it quiet. They're saying, but the thing is that when it does happen, it's going to shake the world. It's going to shake the world. See? Because Iran and false Israel goes at it, that would not be a lightweight situation. See? It's going to ignite the East, Middle East. That's what it says in chapter 12. A war broke out in heaven. See? But it didn't say that false Israel started. It said Michael started, Master Farad Muhammad. That's who Michael is. See, you didn't know who Michael was before I told you. You know who the demons were before I told you. You didn't know any of these things. You know who the dragon was before I told you. You know any of these things. None of them. See, because Farrakhan don't know. He's by ignorant. He's by ignorant. It's two shit stones or rocks. The man is ignorant, but he's smart enough to fool you. He's filthy rich, but the NOI have no resources whatsoever, no finance whatsoever. Check it out. Why is that? How did that happen? When he's been begging money for the NOI for 40-some years, but yet still, the NOI is broke. He's rich. And so what happens when he goes? That money go back to the NOI, you think so? It goes to his family, and then they have to close everything down. And then you realize at that point how you've been had. But it's not going to get there. It's not going to get that far. Because we're going to get him before he gets you. He already got you. Before he closed the door on you, we're going to get him. Close the door on him. But the thing is that it says they're planning, and it says they're planning to attack Iran right now. They're doing drills and exercise, military exercise right now with American corporation to take out Iran. And I've been saying that's not, so you got Farrakhan telling me, he watched CNN. Oh man, this World War III, Ukraine and Russia, it's going to blow up, and it's going to spill all over the world, and that kind of stuff. World War III, it's going to be nuclear war. No, none of that's going to happen. And I'm putting my word out there, and I'm not going to delete this archive. I'm not going to delete this presentation. It's live. So you can record it, right? It's live. None of that stuff is going to happen. It's not going to be a nuclear war. America is going to be nuked, but it's not going to be a nuclear war. You say, well, how does that happen? Same thing as if me and you going at it, right? And we're slugging each other, right? That's a fight. If I'm just beating you down, if I'm just punching you, you punch back, that's a beat down. America will be beat down. See? All the nations are against America, but they're against us too. See? But their anger at America is justified, because America went all over the world, destroying everybody, bombing everybody, doing all kind of stuff they're doing, and they call themselves our agent for peace, the indispensable nation. The graveyard is full of indispensable nations. You know, this little thing about Afghanistan. You know, Afghanistan is called the graveyard of empires. That's what it's called. It's always been called that. And since even before what's his name? Alexander, not so great, went in there and got his ass kicked. Every nation that's went in there and tried to take down Afghanistan failed. The only one made any kind of inroads in there, right, was Genghis Khan, but he didn't take it, but he had influence on it. And then the Islamic Empire, because that's how they became Muslim. But everybody went in there and failed. Russia went there, right, and not only failed, but the nation, Alexander's Greek empire failed after that campaign against Afghanistan. The British Empire failed after their campaign against Afghanistan. See, America, the Soviet Union failed after their campaign with Afghanistan. And America just went there and they spent 27 years as long as anybody else, and they failed too. And now their empire is about to collapse. That's a sign. Because hell, everybody can see this country's falling apart. Remember I said the plague with 2020, it come right on time, killing the firstborn, and that's the first of 10 plagues. The Armageddon, those are the other 9 plagues. And they're designed, right? Read Exodus. They keep telling that's the past. No, it's future. They're trying to blind you by telling you that the past is the future and the future is the past, right? So they'll take your hindsight, they took your foresight from you. Give you hindsight, take your foresight from you. See, if like you're going down, you drive down 70 miles an hour down the highway, somebody trick you into think that the rear view mirror is your front view mirror. You know what's going to happen on that one. No, brothers and sisters, that's happening right now. And look, just ask yourself a question. Say Exodus happening. Say Exodus is happening right now. If Exodus is happening right now, then connect the dots like the sister said. That means Master Muhammad would be the God. That means Elijah would be Moses. That means Pharaoh would be Aaron, who deceived the people, tried to turn their hearts back to Egypt, right? Had them worshiping the golden calf, and ended up getting all wiped out, including himself. And then Jesus would come after that, Joshua. So if you go that way, who wouldn't want you to see it that way? Who would not want you to see it that way? Pharaoh. But then he exposed himself. He said, no, I'm Aaron, but that's really the past. And we're not going anywhere. What about Abraham? He reads Abraham coming to you. He reads it to you, right? He reads it to you, but he don't tell you the whole part. He just tell you about the suffering part. He tell you about the fact we're going home. He don't tell you about what Elijah Muhammad said. Specifically, we have tapes to prove it. Now, I'm talking about transcripts. His actual words, that we'd be fools to stay here in the land of our imprisonment. That our ancestors would rise up in judgment against us, calling us fools for wanting to stay in the land of our imprisonment. Pharaoh said we're not going anywhere. That's the same thing Legion said. Louis Eugene Grounds, NOI backwards. He's that demon in Mark, right? So we ain't going anywhere. Please don't make me leave the country. Because he's a demon. He loved this place. Because it's built by his fathers. It's built by his fathers, the devils. See? And it's built for devils by devils. Built by devils for devils. And he got rich here. Look how good he's done here. He wouldn't do anywhere in our place. He never revealed that his father was the devil. When Elijah Muhammad was around, he wouldn't have got on the first base. See? He called me son of man with straight hair. I mean, that's not what it says. It says nappy hair. Anyway, that's another story, brothers and sisters. I just want to focus on this war. Like I said, I'm going to cut it short because, like I said, I had a lot of technical difficulties. In fact, this week has been a technical difficulty bonanza. They took my whole system down, shorted my lighting system out. You know, I had a brand new laptop. I had to take it back and get it brand new. It's only about three weeks old. Good thing it was still under warranty. You know, the return, 30-day return. Take it back, get a new one. Then I had to upload it and all that stuff, set everything up, right? All the software and all thing, had to spend all night doing that kind of stuff, setting everything up to get and then and then still they got in there somehow. But brothers and sisters, they can't stop anything. Because resistance is evidence of growth. If you're not, there's no resistance, no growth. If you get an elevator, right, and you put a lot of people and you're just standing, no problem. Then, right? But if you start trying to get some more room, right, you're going to get resistance. Everybody's pushing back. See? So the more room you take, the more resistance you're going to get. It means you get more room, more space, but you got resistance in order to get it. Resistance is evidence of growth. See, they tell you the opposite. See, oh man, you can resist it, man, you better leave it alone. Insanity is trying to do the same thing over again, expecting different results. That's also the definition of perseverance, and perseverance leads to success. But see, you've been growing. You've been programmed to think backwards, think against yourself, to self-destruct, to obey master no matter what he says, and love no matter what he does, right? And not think, not ask any questions, except whatever master tells you. That's called a Negro butt. Negro butt. First one involved assembly line in 1619. It took 64 years to produce the first Negro butts, the first biological robots. The first ones. Roll up assembly line, stamped in America. Josie Richardson. And you think that's a name. You better watch 60 Minutes last Sunday. What's today? Today is the 18th. The Sunday just what? Sunday was 15th, I guess. Right? They tell you right on there. Those were names. They were not names. Right? They were brands. So if you were Josie Richardson, they sold you to Master Backstone, you became Josie Backstone. That was an indication of who you was owned by. And right now, the ones walking around those names, that just tell us that you still a Negro butt and that you who he's owned by. And you still walk around telling everybody, say I'm a Negro butt and I was owned by Master Richardson. That's you telling everybody. And you stick with that and you got to cross around because you're scared of Master, you're still afraid of him. And that's to prove that you're still a Negro butt. Because you still believe in this false reality. Christianity can't prove anything. And you still got his name. Because as soon as you could drop that cross, especially if you change that name, there are all kinds of terror butts come around you. That's Master's black-faced children, demons. That's what they are. I'm not making it up. That's exactly what they are. If you understand the Apocalypse or Revelations, exactly what demon is. The Master's, that's why it's a demon, half devil, half man. The Master's black-faced children through 40 years of rape, and to the extent that half of the black people in America are demons. And they're the ones you see in Master's house, deceiving you, lying to you, tricking you, terrorizing you, keeping out the communities in terror, right? And the criminals and all that kind of stuff. That's them. That's them. See? And they're all in the place. They're in politics, they're politicians, they're reverends, right? Your pastors, your entertainers, your actors. See? That's who they are. And you don't recognize them. You didn't know what doom was, so I told you. Anyway, back to this war. See? That war is going to change everything. That's abomination of desolation. Read about the abomination of desolation. It said when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, no destruction is nigh. That verse right there should wake you up. But you're still a Negro, but you're not asking any questions, and you're told not to believe anything unless Master tells you. And if it comes from a black face, don't believe it. Unless they're speaking for Master. That's the demons. Read that. It says, when Jerusalem is surrounded by armies, you know its destruction is nigh. Who is Jerusalem? Jerusalem's capital of what? Who controls it? That's false Israel. That's their capital. That means you see them surrounded by armies, they're about to be destroyed. But the Bible says if they were true seed Abraham, they would not be destroyed, because on return they could not be destroyed. But this said, so that shows they're false. That's what it says in Revelation. Those who say they're Jews are not. Right? They're false, but they're a synagogue of Satan. That's why they can be destroyed. Read that verse. So they destroy, that's going to bring down the house. Bring the whole house of Satan down. Because that is Satan. They are Satan. They're going to bring the whole house down. See? Because the whole site, right, is based on that lie that false Israel over there, and that we are Ham, cursed to be black, to be slaves forever. Because when it turns out that you're the true seed Abraham, that's going to send shockwaves to the world. See, that's the second shockwave. First shockwave is when false Israel go into siege. See, because when they had this war's about to break out. I'm not talking about months and years from now, brothers and sisters. I'm talking about soon, a few more days. Because if you read that presentation, that video I was going to give you, that comes from this guy called Rick on True News, right? He talks. He got it. He got about 80% of it. He just can't He just can't see himself in it. See, he's part of what's going to be destroyed. He can't see that part. See, but he outlines it. And if you go back and check my presentation for the last month or so, it's like he's saying exactly what I've been saying. And now they're saying it's imminent. It's going to happen any day now. And when it happens, right, that means Gog and Magog and Antichrist, which is false Israel, right, they're going to war and with the dragon. They with the dragon, they're not against it. The dragon's with them, which is the house of Sar. Say, oh, it's possible. I've been saying for 30 years it's possible, because now you see they're hugging and kissing each other over there. They're sharing their bath stores. See, Saudi Arabia is now in bed with them. See, and they're all going to war with who? Iran. And Saudi Arabia, all right, we got to get rid of Iran. They're all going to war with Iran and Syria. And it says, Michael and his angels. See, now you got them fools up talking about Elijah Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan's the two witnesses. What's bullshit? The Shia are his witnesses. They are his angels. See, they're like him. Half and half. Half original on the father's side. And I'm going to say something about that. For you angel brothers and sisters out there, have you watched that? Have you paid attention to the ark? Pay attention to the ark? The top of it is elect, right? And they're all spatial. They're 90% spatial. And Suleiman's right there with them. In the middle, right, they're 90% technical, 10% spatial. And matter of fact, I'm right there in the middle with them. And then under that, right, you got Elijah, right? He's right in the middle of the ambidextrous. You don't get it, brothers and sisters? I mean, that angel, that's your mind, brothers and sisters, but you're going to be uploading in a very few minutes. And when you upload it, you're going to be a different creature. You're going to be transformed in a twinkle of an eye. You ain't going to be the Negro and Negro bus anymore. You'll be the guys that you were created to be. That you came in existence. And no faults, no mystery. God created you. Your mother and father created you. But more to the point, this society created you. See, because you're a consequence of what's been going on for the last 500 years. People understand. I don't know. I should talk about that too much because it's kind of complicated. Because the God and the Christ and the God, they're the consequence of. They're the judges and the judge and executioner because they're consequences of these people's actions. If these people had done stuff, we wouldn't have came into existence. We're the consequence. You can't destroy consequence. That's another story together. But I tell people that work with me, I tell them, there's a lot of stuff I could talk to you about, bro, sister, but some of you ain't ready for it yet. See, it's a lot. It's endless. Like the Quran tells you. The wisdom of Allah is infinite. There's no limit. So if you took all the words and filled in the sea, right, sometimes right, you still wouldn't come close to come to all the words of Allah. So you have to understand what Allah is too. But anyway, brothers and sisters, this war, I'm telling you in advance, because Farrakhan tell it's going to break out in Europe. No, the war in Europe is Armageddon. He don't even know what Armageddon is. And that's going to break out because when they go to war in the Middle East, Michael's angels go to war with the dragon's angels. The dragon angels are going to be defeated soundly. How's Assad going to flee back to India, where they really come from? Because that's where they are. They're not even Arabs. They've been deceiving people because the British put them on the throne when they had control of that area. They keep control. Oh, they couldn't trust the Sunnis, the Arabs. So they put them on there, and they've been pretending they're Muslim, pretending they're Arabs, right, for what, 50, 60, 80 some years? Or more? They're not. They're Indians. See? And false Israel is going to be taken because America and Britain is going to be kicked out. See, that's why it says, men's hearts will fail them for fear of those things coming upon the earth because the powers of heaven be shaken. See, you got to answer these questions. What do you mean by the powers of heaven be shaken? First of all, if heaven is beyond the sun, moon, and stars in 10th dimension, how can you see it? So how would they know it was shaken? Go talking about the Middle East. Who has power in the Middle East? Gog, Magog, and Antichrist. That's America, Britain, and false Israel. So their power will be broken. And people on the earth, in European countries, especially America, their hearts be feared because now they see the handwriting on the wall is so clear. See, because 2020 shook them, but this puts a period on it. Cross the T, dot the I's. See, it's clear now that Jesus come and destroy them. He ain't come and help them. See? So, because now they fear, because they see America and Britain defeated. How are they going to defeat it? And now they're telling you, these UFOs are real, but they are human. They can't be human. What they mean is they're not white. That's what they mean. They couldn't be produced by white people. See? No. Master Muhammad told you clearly, 80, 90 years ago? Clearly what those things were. And where they come from. The book of Ezekiel, I've been telling you too. I can even tell you the type of engine have proton engines. But you don't understand what that is. And you couldn't build one if we even told you. See? Because that requires vertical wisdom, or you guys horizontal. And they're going into motion. And that's what's going to defeat America. Not only that, but Russia's going to defeat them too. Russia's going to be involved in that too. Because they're going to return the favor because America's attacking them in Ukraine. So they're going to help Iran. Their sponsor or their ally. And that's where America's going to blame Russia for that loss of that war. Because they can't tell people about those planes took out their Air Force. They can't tell America that. Because America's invincible. Nobody can control America. So they can't tell them that. And that's how they get in the war with Russia. That's what sparks the war in Russia. It's the war in Europe. And not only that, but when the war in Europe goes, I'm getting very detailed, brothers and sisters, that you ain't gonna get anyplace else. So let's go step by one. I'm gonna walk through the detail, and then we're gonna. First of all, it'd be 6 months, and from the beginning of year, so that'd be May, June, July. So we're talking about within the next few months, few weeks, and that's what he said. If you watch this video of True News for today, right? He's saying their claim is imminent, and America's saying they have to do it quick because Iran is only weeks away, maybe in days away from having enough nuclear fuel, right, to have an atomic bomb. They can't have that happen. That's another story altogether. So let's walk this step by step. The war is about to break out. See, the war is about to break out. When it breaks out, false Israel, American Britain is kicked out. That means false Israel is isolated and taken under siege, right? The dragon, Assad, they're gone. They fled back to India, right? So you have the Shia, Iran, and Syria has total control of the Middle East, all the oil and everything, total control, and have and Egypt and false Israel is under siege. And in that war, they betrayed by another African country. I'm not going to say what it is. See, that's another story too. As a stone that David slew Goliath with. And Goliath is false Israel. See, that's another betrayal that's going to take place. Anyway, they're going to be under siege. And they're going to be under siege for a while. Not a long time, but enough long time for them to start eating each other. See, I'm in siege. And America's fought, nobody's going to help them. And everybody trying to flee, they're going to be able to get out of there. And they ain't going to no food coming in, nothing coming in, and they're going to starve. They're going to start eating each other. Because they want to be totally humiliated. The God's going to totally humiliate them. See? And then during this time, remember, this could go on a month or so. But during this time, right, once America and Britain is already kicked out. So now they're at war with Russia because they said Russia help Iran defeat them. And so now they're in a fight with Russia. But the thing is, you better read chapter 18 again, so you don't know anything about AL-INJIL. You understand what none of this means? What happens is that all of Western Europe, which is, see, Russia is considered Eastern Europe. See, if you went down, you had two legs of the old Roman Empire. You had the Western Europe and Eastern Europe. Russia is considered Eastern Europe, right? Poland, all those countries, they consider Eastern Europe. But France, Germany, all those places considered Western Europe. Now, Western Europe, so-called NATO and all that countries, right, or the EU, right, they totally depend upon oil from the Middle East and from Russia. See, they're in the bag now, they're in the bind. Because now the speaker from the Middle East has been cut off because they helped America in that war with Iran. So now they have total control. You see what's going on here? They have total control of oil, right? So now the Europeans are cut off. Only place to get oil is from Russia. Only place to get oil is from Russia. But they're at war but America's at war with Russia, and so NATO, so they have to back America. So now, and it says in chapter 18, their economy collapsed overnight because they don't have any oil. They don't have any fuel, right? So they said the economy collapsed overnight. Overnight. Germany, France, all of them. Because they can't get any oil from the Middle East and they can't get any from Russia because they side with America. And America's not giving oil because they say, we at war, we can't afford it. Even if we could afford to get oil, you could not give you enough oil in time to do any benefit because the only way we can get it, we can't ship by plane. We have to ship by over the ocean. That takes time. And then plus the amounts you're going to need, we couldn't do it. Even if we did, what's going to stop Russia from intervening because we're at war with Russia? And you at war with Russia, what's going to stop Russia from intervening and stopping the shipments? You know? You see what I'm saying? So the bind they're in. So what they do? See? Because they're already reluctant about this war anyway. They're already reluctant about what America's doing anyway. What they do? See, hold on for a second, brothers and sisters. What they do? They turn against America and fight on Russia's side. That said, America says, God, all your lovers are going to abandon you, going to leave you. And so now America's in the fight for his life because all his friends, allies, have turned against him and rushed against him. And they're in a fight for their life over there. That's Armageddon. See, that's Armageddon. They're tearing each other apart. That's the 9 plagues. And what was the purpose of those 9 plagues? The purpose of 9 plagues was to force them to let us go. See, you don't even know why they're holding us here. They don't hate us, they hate us, they're ones here, but still they hold us. For what reason? And I'm not going to talk about that. I talked about that previous, and so look at my previous presentation. I explained to it about what gold and silver meant, right? And how they became, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they become industrialized and innovative and to the exclusion of all the other European countries. Because we here, that's another story altogether, brothers and sisters. That's a big lie that they don't even want you to have any idea. But think about that movie, Hidden Figures. Think about that one for a minute. So anyway, so in the process of tearing themselves apart, that's what it talks about in chapter 12. It says, the dragon gave his power and authority to the beast. See, the dragon had 7 heads and 10 horns, and the beast had 7 heads and 10 horns. You had 2 beasts yet. One beast had 7 heads and 10 horns, another beast had 7 and 10 horns, but one beast had crowns upon his horns, other beast just had heads and 10 horns and had crowns any place. But the dragon had crowns upon his heads. That means the Europeans are his heads, right? And they had the authority was with Europe because they've been controlling everything. But it says their power was shifted to the beast. That's why he got his crowns on his horns. And horns represent India and China. So they had now the authority shifted to them because they become superpowers because America and the Europeans tear themselves apart. And that benefits China and India because now they rise as superpowers during this war. Now all this is going on while false Israel under siege. And then you got all this turmoil going in America because you already see it right now. I mean, you see bits and pieces, but it's, you're going to have a race war here. You're going to have a war between the demons and devils. You have all, you go and see, you look all the confusion you have right now. Now you got mass killing and stuff. It's getting worse and worse every day. It's just the beginning. But you got insurrection going on right here. See? Already. So it's having a hard time getting under control. And now they want to start drafting people to go, and a lot of blacks are going to resist. And that's going to cause a lot of problem right there. I ain't going over there. You see? So, so you got that problem. All this time, remember, false Israel is still under siege now. See? And their hope is, they live with this hope that, because that's what they've been telling people. When false Israel is under siege and they about to die, and they don't say under siege, but false Israel is fighting this war, and they look like they're about to be destroyed, and at the time when they get real dark, they're going to call out to Jesus, and that's Jesus. Because remember, they hate Jesus, right? They call it Jesus, they call the false Israel Jesus killers, right? See, that's what they call them. You see, and those false Jews are there. You better look this up. You know what they say? This is what they think about Jesus. They say Jesus is in hell, right? Burning his shit and piss. They just say, don't take my word for it. Just Google it. It's right there. You understand why they love them so much, but the Muslims, the Sunnis, they reverence Jesus. See, but they despise him, and they see. This is something a lot more going on than you think, brothers and sisters. At any rate, that's their hope, because when they down, they're gonna call Jesus, and Jesus gonna say, save them, and they're gonna go out and kill all the Muslims, all the everybody's against Jesus, and Arabs and everybody else. That's their hope. That's they're telling everybody. They're teaching the churches, even the demons, these demon preachers, black-faced preachers, tar babies. They're teaching that stuff. But then point, so they, oh man, and then false Israel going down and down there on the siege, and everybody's worried, right? And some of them start falling. Some, like I said, some people don't even go that far, because it says men's hearts be filled for fear of those things come upon the earth, because those they already having heart attacks. They ain't holding on to that false belief. See, because they lose smarter than that. But the other one's still holding on. Evangelicals, the Christian Zionists, they're holding. Oh man, Jesus gonna save them the last minute. So remember, this going to go on for like a few weeks, maybe a couple of months. See? All while America's at war in Europe. America and Britain. And European economies had collapsed. And now they betrayed America because they go inside of Russia so they get some fuel. They can revitalize their countries. All it's going at the same time. And then what happens? Then you got the resurrection going on here in America, and people refusing to go and help and fight because they're getting their ass wiped to them, ass hands over to them, and America's getting their ass wiped to them over there. They got weather like you couldn't believe. All kinds of stuff is going on. They got food shortages. You already have that right now. You got food shortages and things, people eating all their pets and everything else. That's all going on at the same time, and false Israel was under siege. And remember these plagues, see these plagues, so at that point in time, with the weather and everything going on, then you're going to have somebody teaching, says, because this gospel will be preaching all the world in truth, then the end will come. See, so that's Suleiman, because he's going to have a world, because he's going to take, during that time, that same time, he's going to take down the son of perdition. All during this period of time. See, because it says when Babylon goes down, it says 1 year she'll be destroyed, 1 year, and 1 day, 1 year. So all this happening at the same time. See? So it's going to be clear, made clear what's going on. And then it's going to be clear that all these things, events happening, and these people that act to blame other people anyway, they're paranoid, they're going to see that it's happening because of us. All it's happening because of us. See? A lot of just mathematics. Because the weather is because of us, because you got a pressure differential between us and them. But that's made too complicated for some of you, right? For most of you probably. So we talk about that. I talk about that in other presentations. So all this is going on. See? But you got these Christians in America, they got this false hope. See? Because a lot of them are rejoicing. Because they think, man, this good is happening because that means when just before they destroy it, that means Jesus coming back. See? So of course you see, if you look at Exodus, right? When Joshua returned and Moses returned, they had a sound of war in the camp, but not a sign of victory or defeat. That means the war is going on. So you got the demons, right? The black Christians, they really excited. See, because they're not as paranoid as their daddies. See, because they got a little us in them, right? So they really excited, man, because they said, man, yeah, Jesus about to come now. We're gonna get rid of Muslims and Farrakhan people because they think, you know. Because some of them think Farrakhan's really messed her, but some think that no better. But we're going to get rid of them old Elijah people and all that stuff, man. Jesus about to come in. See? Because the Quran tells you all of them will believe in it before they die. The Quran tells you that. All of them will believe in it. If you got devil nature, you're going to believe in that. Because there's no consequence in it. Because everything they do is evil, and they says there's no God, and they'll fear God before their eyes. See? Which means they have no fear of consequence. See, because that's the whole thing about Christianity. All you got to do is do whatever you want to do, but just believe in Jesus, and the consequence goes away. If you believe that, you are really out of it. See? Because that's what he's saying. But that's not what happens. Okay, so what happens is that, remember this, I'll give you a whole scenario here. See? And then what happens? Then false will is taken down, folly. And that kills that whole sight, that mentality. It destroys it. The whole hope, right? The whole mystique of them being good people and Jesus coming to save them and false Israel is God's chosen. It just crashes, and they can't handle that. They can't handle it. It just crashes overnight. Just crashes. They crash the whole mentality, the whole sight, right? And remember, and all this comes clear because when that happens, it becomes clear that this is what's going on. The scripture comes totally clear, and all these plays that's happening, these were plays come on. The whole reason why these plays, because it said to drive us out. See, Pharaoh's like, all right, we ain't going nowhere. It says the whole purpose of this thing was to drive us out of here. To drive us out, to make them drive us out. See? He said we ain't going nowhere. And that's what happened to Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh said, man, okay, we can't take it anymore. Can't take these plagues. And he said, get him out of here. And then at the last minute, he said, no, man, let's get rid of him. And that's what's going to happen here. Time of unprecedented trouble, like never before. You see? Because they're going to go crazy. That said, flee. Because when you see abomination, desolation, right? It said, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, it's destruction. It's not. God be talking about them because they the one, Jerusalem is their capital. They control Jerusalem. That means they're going to be destroyed. That means they're not true to Abraham because that wouldn't happen to them. So it says flee. Why flee? It says don't go in home and get anything. Go back in the house, get your cell phone. Don't go get your son. Go get your daughter. Get nobody. Just run. When you see that, just run. That's for people that just waited too long. Wait till the last minute. They didn't listen to this message. Because if you listen to this message, you would already been gone. See, that's your last hope. That's why that's why you see these brothers and sisters, they're going 24/7 trying to get this knowledge to you. They like a deer before headlights, right? See, because your heart knows fear, but your mind doesn't. And so much fear will come on you, because Master Muhammad's going to put, see, you're going to be under fear, because we've been under fear for 400 years. He can put so much fear on you. See, if you understand chapter 11, it says, when the witness stood up, it said, great fear comes among the people. That means when they finally just took out America and Britain and false Israel. It says, great fear came on the people. And so when your fear comes, right, so it's deer before headlights, that's what I meant to say. When fear comes, right, your heart can't take it, and then it communicates to the mind what to do, because before that, the heart was in control. But now it gets control back to the mind. So what to do? It's afraid. I don't want to know what to do. If the mind doesn't know what to do, then you get hit by the car. And that's why we're putting the information out there. So when time, you may not pay attention to it now, but you get it then. Some of you will, and you'll flee. Because if you don't, you're going to get your throat cut. Why they tell you to flee? If it's staying there, why are they telling you to flee? Flee immediately. Because you're in danger. Your life is in danger from your next door neighbors. Because the word's going to go out. Man, we catch all this hell because they can't say false Israel's through Abraham anymore. So our claim is valid, it's certified. And they will come after you. See? They'll come after you. But let me back up again about this war, right? It tells you, see, they're planning, they got this plan, right? I said right there, you watch this video that I'm going to include in the uploaded version, right? It says they're planning right now to take out Iran. And they got other plans too. I'm not going to talk about it right here. And it says, Master Muhammad said, those days were not shortened. If those days were not shortened, because he's also talking about this video, he's not talking about just that war, but he's talking about a nuclear war. And it says, if those were not shortened, you got to connect the dots, like his sister Nicola was trying to explain to you. You got to connect the dots. Right? Because it said, if those days were not shortened, no soul be left alive. That's not a conventional war. That's not a little light plague. That's a nuclear war. It says no soul be left alive. So they had to be short. It means had to be intervention. That's why I had to intervene. That's what it says. He goes to war first before they could fill their plans. That's what the sixth seal says. It says the figs was thrown before they was ripe, before they was ready to do their thing. And they're planning right now for destruction you wouldn't believe. But he's not going to let them radiate the earth and destroy it. What kind of promised land would it be if it's all radiated? He's not going to let them do it. He's not going to let nuclear war be. And they already tell you these UFOs is been all their nuclear sites. But when they go to pull that trigger, they're going to pull blanks. And they're going to want to pull it really bad. See? Because right now it's like a guy sitting around there, man, and he got a Uzi and a machine gun and everything else, man. He's holding up everybody. Everybody's kissing his foot, kissing his ass and everything else, right? He's sitting around there, hey, man. He's a big dude, big dog, right? He can take their money, bring food, and do everything he tell him to do, right? Because they're afraid of what he got. And then somebody peeps the whole car, found he's got blanks. What do you think will happen to him? What do you think happened to him? Because the world doesn't know right now, America's shooting blanks. See? They'll give you signs. Look at what happened to them in Korea. They fought to a draw. They fought little Koreans, right, rice farmers to a draw, right? And then they got their ass kicked by rice farmers in Vietnam. Totally kicked. I was in Vietnam. They ran them out of there. They didn't just walk out elegantly with honor. They ran like cowards. They ran them out of there. And look what happened in Afghanistan. Did the same thing in Afghanistan. And those were sheep herders. Didn't have no Air Force or nothing. They didn't have the same thing in Vietnam. They had no Air Force. They had no tanks. They had no machine. They had no atomic bombs, helicopters, none of that stuff. See? You don't understand, brothers and sisters. So like I said, so now America's having his ass handed over to them in Europe. They got insurrection going on in America, right? See? False Israel take it down, so now people went crazy, and now they're attacking you because now they know that you're the reason why all this stuff's happened to them. See? Not that they didn't cause it, there's consequence. See? And so they're going to attack you. See? Because a lot of you are living out there with them. See? Your next door neighbor, maybe the person sleeping next in the bed with you, we're going to go out. See? Because if you're true to Abraham, that means you're about to take it strong. That means you're going to pay back to what they did to you. And they know what they've done. They don't want you to know. They definitely want you to get in power over them. Because it says in there, it says, do unto them as they're done to you. It says, do double. They don't want that done to them. They don't want anything like what they did to us done to them. Not even close, not even 10%. So the only way they eradicate you before you, plus the envy and jealousy part of it, because now you're going to heaven and they see the flames of hell, right, burn their ass right now. And it hasn't got to a blaze yet, but it's about to get in a blaze. And they ain't going to no heaven. None of them ever went to heaven. The Bible tells you, unless you came out of heaven, you ain't going to heaven. They came us all my relatives in heaven. You better read that Bible again. It says nobody can enter heaven unless you came out of heaven. They never came out of no heaven. There's lie. You buy it all because you wrote Negro butt and you was programmed to accept that stuff. But your program is about to be short-circuited because when he takes out false Israel, that's going to short-circuit your programming. And then you're going to start uploading your mind with your angel. Revelation, apocalypse. That's your mind. Your mind is your software. Your brain's your hardware. So all this happening at the same time. These people going mad. They're going crazy. Men be walking around drunk, haven't had a drink. Your children be gray-headed because now they run out of food and eating each other over here. See? Because all the food shortages, and they have insurrection, all that kind of stuff. Food can't get to the stores if they had it. It says it's going to be so bad that a woman, right, that she's in childbirth and labor, and she'll be quiet. She'll do it secretly. And I talk to women and say, man, that's almost impossible. She's going to be in quiet because she wants to eat the baby that she's about to give birth to. That's right in the Bible. That's how bad it's going to be. See? And then you got China, India rolling up on the West Coast. That's the goat in Daniel. That's the goat in Daniel. See, the goat is really a leopard with yellow and brown spots, but you don't understand that. You see? See? What was the leopard? Think about that leopard. Right? He had 4 heads and 4 wings. That means he had a lot of heads, a lot of wings, because they're the most populous nations, and China is the most populous nation on the planet. Right? And the heads represent authoritarian. That's China. It's authoritarian, but the wings represent democracy, and that's India. It's yellow, brown spots. Is that clear enough for you? And then but you got to understand Daniel is very, very, it's very subtle. And so that's the goat that's coming across. His feet does not touch land, but it's coming from the west to the east, to America. His feet does not touch land, so that means it's coming across the Pacific Ocean. That's them. And said they come across the ram. Who's the ram? Gog and Magog had 2 horns. The greater horn came up last. Britain was the first world empire, European world empire. So there's only 2 of them. So that's what Gog and Magog is all about in chapter 20. So there were 2 world empires, Gog and Magog, Britain and America. And America came up last. And they said the goat is angry at the ram, and hits the ram with so much kinetic force, it knocks the ram down, stomp him down to the ground. See, this is all happening within a year. But before the end of next year, you want to see all this. And so America's going through all this stuff. They war over there. They're being torn apart. So they ain't got time to worry about China and India because they tearing each other apart over there in Europe. Then they got all the insurrection in America. So America's under a martial law, and you got a president that's senile, don't even know where he is. He's not worried about America. He's worried about, because he's a Catholic, he's worried about getting into heaven. That's what he's worried about. If you think about his policies, he's trying to do everything to get his ass in heaven. And the people don't understand that. That's why his policies don't make no damn sense to anybody. Because they're trying to be nice to everybody, so he wants to get his ass in heaven. He ain't for America, he's trying to save his ass. You see? And that's what's happening. And they roll in and they tear America apart. See? They take everything that's value out of it. No, but they don't take it apart right away. They lay siege to it like they did false Israel for a while, because they want to see the people starve, eating themselves. They want to rejoice over it because they hate America so much. And after America's totally humiliated, eating itself, eating its own people and everything else, That's when they close the door on them. They close the door on them. And just take any young people that's halfway healthy, they take them out for internal enslavement. A slavery as bad as worse than they did to us. And then they nuke the place. They burn it down because the earth will burn as heaven, burn as an oven. Excuse me. See, and where are we at during this time? We're gone. It says Michael at that time, a time of unprecedented trouble. Michael will deliver those in Lamb's Book of Life. In Suleiman's Book of Life, the Pharaoh have a Book of Life, the South have a Book of Life, they don't even know what it is. So they're gone. But then who's left behind? It says a lot of people left behind. It says, because those slept in the dust, they awakened to everlasting life, but they weren't delivered those. That means they got to go through, that's a tribulation period. That's lasts about a year. See? It says it right in Daniel, they'll be going through hell and starvation and famine and everything else. They got to fight all the way to that. Right, you see in the book in Exodus, they got to fight their way all the way to the West Coast. Because you read chapter 17, why is China and India attacking America anyway? It tells you right there, it says the God who is Master Farad, he put that in their spirit to do it. He put in their minds to do it. How do you do that? See, remember Sister told you to connect the dots? Well, how does he do that? Well, what's the lifeline to China and India? Oil too. And where they get it from? The Middle East. See? They ain't getting it from Russia. Russia's at war. And he can supply all that to them anyway, that fast. So now, he tell them, if y'all want to continue getting oil, then you got to do what I tell you to do. See, that's the two eyes on the goat. Those two eyes are Farad. He's guiding them. Brothers and sisters, I wish you understood Daniel. He's the guy. That's the goat had two eyes, right? He's guiding them. He's like the Air Force, so to speak. He's guiding them. He put in spirit. You want to keep getting oil, you got to do what I tell you to do. So that's when they could attack. He said he put in their spirit to do it because they would hate the harlot, and they would eat her flesh and burn down with fire. That means they eat the flesh, take anything of value out of here. And plus, any people that steal my health, they can use as slaves. And then they burn the place down to its crisp. So nobody been living here for 20,000 years, but hours and stuff, because it'd be so irradiated. But we're gone. See? But those slept in the dust, they're awakened. Those ones who listen to this message, they ain't paying attention, they're still deceased, still Negro butts. Right? Okay, they got to go through tribulation. They got to go to tribulation. That's tribulation. They got to go fight their way to the West Coast. And that's the Red Sea, because they call China red, right? That's what we're talking about, the Red Sea. Because that's what happens. The sea is parted to allow them to walk through. See? China, India, they already embarked on the West Coast. See? And our people, those that go through tribulation, there's still our people that woke up too late, right? When they get there, remember what was the story? In Exodus, they was between a rock and a hard place, between the sea and Pharaoh's armies, because they got American armies chasing them all the way. They're fighting famine and sword and everything else, and plus they got the Pharaoh's armies chasing them, American armies chasing them, Biden's armies were chasing them, because they first didn't want to let them go. Remember, that was their fear. Their fear was that if we kept multiplying, right, that one day there'd be a war would break out, and we would side with the enemy and fight against them and then flee the country. Remember, it tells you that all this stuff is in there. Connect the dots. That's their greatest fear, because we leave out here. And plus, we're taking that creativity with us. And so they're trying to stop us. And plus, they need us help to fight that war. And all the other stuff that's going on here. Insurrection and race war. And they're going to have a war with the demons. That's the locust war. 5 months, going to last 5 months. All that stuff is going on at the same time. And then, during that time, they already war with the locusts, because the locusts destroyed that locust war. It's already taking place. It's been going on 5 months at that time when our people arrive at the West Coast. See, because that already, because when the flood comes, because that's what it's talking about. It's not a flood of war, it's a flood of humanity. The flood is China, India, right? They come embarking on America. That's the flood. They drowns America, destroys it. See? But the demons, they destroyed just before that. Because they go to war. They go into war with America. They go into war with them. Because we don't want them. We separate them out. See? Because they the chaff. We separate them out. See? Because we had to go to war with them. Because they try to take over us. They want us to stick with them, just like back in 60s. They want us to go side with them with that immigration stuff. And then they wanted to go Eurocentric. They want to stay slave sharecropper. They're always trying to convince us, and now they're at war with us because they want us to stay and fight. That's Farrakhan's idea, right? Stay and fight for America. We ain't hell with that. We out of here. We don't want no parts of this place. And they want to convince us, and then we get in the fight with them, and we have to separate. That's what it says. It tells you right there. It tells you right there in Exodus that Joshua had to go to war with them. Those people that wasn't with Elijah. That's another war actually, right? So we go to war with them, and so now we kick them out because that's what it says in Mount Mark, right? It said, we want to stay here with the swine, our swine daddies. So they went and they got to fight with their swine dad, and they went off the cliff together. So when we kicked them out, then because they don't want them, their daddies don't want them. We don't want them because they got the hearts of their daddies, and they don't want to look like us. So now they'll fight with them. It's a locust war, 5 months. And that 5 months, because it said it's 1 year and then America will be destroyed. So now you come from the end of that year, locusts are destroyed. In their war with America, and they get destroyed. They finally get wiped out. Just as China Indians embarking. And they're chasing our people, and our people's right between them and the sea. Red Sea, that's China India, right? And then Master Muhammad says, let them pass. They part, let them pass. They ain't walking on water, right? But they part, let them by. And then what? They close in on Pharaoh's armies, on American armies. And that's the end of them. How was Pharaoh's army destroyed? By a flood. You don't connect the dots, brothers and sisters? That's the Noah's flood. See? And only those. Now, although if any vipers in there, right, any demons or any hypocrites or whatever, it's fine. They might as well stay behind because they don't want to be delivered with that second wave because we got something for them. Because all the ones that died because of life and knowledge is going to be on their hands. And they're going to wish they had stayed here and just ate themselves or whatever they was doing before the Chinese and India rolled in. And then we're out here. And that's going. And then after they take out America, they already took out Britain. They take out Europe. Africa going to be a part of this. Non-Islamic Africa, led by a personality that you know about right now, a major personality. I'm not going to say his name, right? They all can be together because it was three beasts. It was two beasts. Both of them had 10 heads and 7 horns. 7 heads and 10 horns, right? But one had crowns on his horns and one was just alongside, just like 17. It was chapter 17. They was all together. See? And then they get to fight with each other. Because now they got control of the world for all practical purposes. And then we at home, that's the war of the latter days. And then we're at home at peace. See, because after we leave out here, what's the story about Joshua, right? It says God took him, put him back in the promised land. You say, oh man, why we want that promised land? Because it's covered with sand, because we cover with sand to protect it. Where do you think oil comes from? Where do you think topsoil comes from? The same process that produces oil, produces topsoil. It's so rich in topsoil you can imagine it's going to blow the sand away. Put it to protect so they won't destroy it, corrupt it, because we want to land the best part of the planet. We want to land's all corrupt and all used up. So we put sand to cover it. So we blow the sand away as the land of milk and honey overflowing. See? But it says Joshua, once he got there, then he had to go to war. What? He had to go to the Arabs because they ain't going to give up that land. That's our land. So he had to go to war with them to take it back. So now we at home at peace and safety. And then Lucifer, he's that figure I'm telling you about, right? Because they go to war with each other. He defeats them. So now he's controlling all their armies. And then that's when they say, look, there's the real Israel. They over there in peace, quiet, safety. That reminds me of another thing I'm going to mention in a minute. And that's when they attack us. And that's the greatest war ever. See? So it takes 6 months to bury the dead. See? But see, the reason why it's time unprecedented trouble, because this is the first time the whole earth been at stake. We had a god that blew part of the earth away, called the moon. But these people irradiate the whole planet. They want to go to West, where you see this video I was talking about. They want to go to Third World War III because they can't. They're at war with the biology. They're at war with the environment. They're at war with all our biological creation. They're at war with the universe because it's all against them because they're not in sync with it. So they have to destroy it and bring in their own cyborg creation, their mechanical electronic creation. That's what they work so hard to do. Elon Musk planting this in your head, right? Whatever they call those things, right? In your head, right? They come with Biden already said they're making robot hands now that can actually feel. Cyborg, human body. I mean, a mechanical body with a brain, a biological brain. That's no stuff I'm not gonna talk about too much here. But all this stuff is happening, and that's why he's got to shut them down, because that's where he's going to irradiate the earth and get rid of us at the same time. That's why he has to step up. No world says no soul will be left alive or he hadn't intervened. That's a nuclear war that they're planning. That's why he said, why in the world they want to get in fight with Russia? They cannot win a war with Russia. It's impossible. Russia got more nuclear weapons they have. Or they don't have to drop. They got thousands of them. They don't have to drop about 10 or 20 on America, destroy all its major cities, and the rest will be ready. You won't be able to live here anymore. Even South Korea, North Korea could destroy America. They got enough nuclear bombs to do it. They put you ever EMP. They explode one over the top in the sky of America, and nothing will work anymore. Your computers, your car, nothing. They can do that themselves. So why they playing these games right now all of a sudden? All these things are coming together all of a sudden, brothers and sisters. So I played out clearly. Just play it. My words out there. We're talking about months away, and compared to what Lion Farrakhan said, he reading CNN, he's talking about all this stuff. You know, he don't know what the hell he's talking about, but he's about to be taken down. He's gonna take down hard. He's taking down hard, and all those clowns women are taking down hard. Hard. We're gonna take him down hard. See, but the thing is, it tells you that they're gonna be taken down initially from inside. When thrones are cast down, which thing I'm talking about? That ancient days just set. His hair like lamb's wool, not like that Farrakhan straight hair stuff, because it follows the devil. See, so they're gonna be taken down from within initially, especially when false leaders go into siege, because everybody, even the dumbest ones in there, gonna see right away that Farrakhan know what the hell he's talking about, because he's talking about this going to ignite World War III and it's gonna spread all that kind of stuff. When he was saying that stuff, when he was giving the so-called swine song, I said, yeah, keep on, Farrakhan, keep sticking your foot in your ass, because you don't have no idea what you're talking about, so keep putting that word out there so everybody can see, because you watch CNN, you think that's where it's going to see, because it seems pretty close. Seems like that's probably what's going to happen. So now he's talking about he's prophesizing. It ain't going to happen. It ain't like he's talking about. It ain't going to be a nuclear war. And this war in Ukraine ain't going to spread and become World War III. None of that stuff is going to happen. I'm telling you clearly. I'm telling you exactly how it's going to happen. Watch the weather and all this stuff he's talking about. See? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So I apologize. Like I said, I had this thing set to do the video included in, the go live Facebook and YouTube and the Podbean had all set up. It was working. I'm testing everything. And then, man, boom. Like I said, they took my whole system down a couple of days ago. Took my lighting. I mean, I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know how they did that. All of a sudden, all the stuff got shorted. It was working fine before that. I had a brand new laptop. It didn't work anymore. It got shorted. Well, it wasn't really short. It was acting funny. Then it wouldn't even come on. So I had to take that back, and I had to go through all that stuff and setting it back up and reloading it with software and all that kind of stuff, and had to go and purchase new lights. Right, I had to get overnight from Amazon. Right. See, I mean, I had to do a lot of work. And when I finally gave a presentation yesterday, I was like beat. I was so tired. Right, but we got to get this job done because our people, right? See, these devils ain't getting tired of hurting our people, destroying our people. So I've been given this mission. I'm going to do it. See, when we give them the mission, original people that given the mission, they usually follow through. Elijah Muhammad followed through his mission 100%. He suffered everything with prison, everything else. And it says Suleiman would do the same thing. Because Satan would sneak up on him in the desert when he was weak, hungry. Hey, bro. Hey, bro. He rolled up on him. Hey, bro. What's happening, man? You need some biscuits? Tell you what, man, you ain't got to be going through all this, man. I got some wine over here and some biscuits, man, you know. Hey, you into a little bit of smoke, man? You know? All you got to do is, man, roll with me, you know. Just work for me, man, you know. Hang with me. I give you all the nations. I put them under all your control. He didn't say all nations except America, did he? Did he say that? He said all America except Britain? Did he say that? Or he said he had control all of them. That's all you got to do. And Jesus told me, man, you better take a hike. Go F yourself, man. You get the hell out of here. See? Because you can't get to me, and you couldn't get to Elijah either. If you couldn't get to Elijah, you definitely can't get to me. So roll up out of here. See? But they got to lie to you. Because they took your mind away. So hey, I'm not Farrakhan. I'm not blaming you. See? I ain't mad at you. Because we know what happened to you. They threw you in a shithole and you covered with shit. Or you need a shower. And we got the soap and water for you. See, we ain't putting you down like Farrakhan's doing. You're not sinful people. They threw you in a shithole. But you agreed to allow to be thrown in a shithole for very, very good reasons. See? So now we're going to pull you out and try for you. But the only problem is some of you won't come out of that shithole. Some of you got to like it. And those are the ones you ain't going to make it. Because what it says in the Quran says, Allah will lift you up, but you cling to the earth. And that's why Aaron had to go around, where Aaron was left in the wilderness for 40 some years, to burn all you off. Because you've been in the shit so long, it's got into your marrow, your brain, marrow, your bones and everything. See? And so nothing can wash it off. See? You didn't say Jesus, all that stuff so deep. See? But the rest of you, right? Some of you going through tribulation because you ain't paying attention. But those of you not, you out here, you won't hear the faintest sounds of raging and roarings of hell. You won't hear the faintest sound of it. But the rest you got to go through tribulation. And then you be everlasting. Says those slept in the dust, they'll be raised to everlasting life. Right? But some everlasting life, some everlasting apartment. That's the demons and the devils. See, but you got to go through tribulation. You got to go through the scenic route. Hope that doesn't happen to you, brother. Says I'm working overtime. I'm working 30 years, over 30 years, 24/7, 365, brother. I don't get tired. I mean, well, I ain't tiring. If I get tired, I don't know it. My wife can tell me I need to rest. I can't. This job is too hard to do, and nobody else is doing it. And I ain't asking you for a dime. I haven't asked for a dime yet. Don't intend to. See, Farrakhan, he feeding you all kinds of shit, but he wants you to pay for it. That's shitlins. That's shitlins. You know what shitlins is? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So let me see if I can close this out elegantly. No. Come on, brothers and sisters. No. No. Okay, there you go. Again, brothers and sisters, the resurrected Nation of Islam. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.